Well, good afternoon or good evening to those who have joined me this afternoon to explore the integral health approach to the pandemic of COVID-19. I'm so glad to see friends who have popped in, and I'm just really thrilled to be able to put this together to hopefully give you some ideas how you can support yourselves looking through the lens of the integral health model. I'd just like to start out by each of you just saying a word about how you're feeling today, how you're feeling in this present time. So just unmute and just have a word.
I'm feeling relaxed.
Good.
One word is hard. It really is. It really is.
Yes.
But I think hopeful. I feel hopeful, actually.
Thank you.
That's my word. You're welcome.
Yes.
Should I join in too?
Yes, go for it.
I've been in the lucky mode. I've been feeling lucky for a little bit now, but today I felt like there was a shift or positivity and some stuff, and so I'm feeling excited and hopeful too.
Thank you. Yes. Elizabeth.
That was more than one word.
It's okay.
Yeah, one word is tricky.
Yeah.
But there is a hope. Yeah. I really feel like this is gonna bring great change.
Thank you. Yes. So I'm feeling in the space of presence right now. Well, thanks again for joining me. And what you see on the screen is the integral health model developed by Dr. Elliott Dacher in his book, Integral Health, The Path to Human Flourishing, that he published in 2006. And I met Elliott a number of years ago after I explored a book he wrote in the 90s, Whole Healing, a step-by-step program to reclaim your power to heal. And I was truly taken by the writing of this man who had been in internal medicine for 21 years. And then he began studying Eastern philosophy, psychology, and meditation practices among the wisdom practices of Asia. And he evolved his personal life and his practice and started incorporating some of these concepts. And then he came in touch with the work of Ken Wilber and the very complex model of human development that Wilber had come up with. And Elliott took that model and applied it to, first of all, to put it through the lens of medicine, hoping to make a shift in the way we do medical care here in this country. But ultimately, it became a path to integral health and a path to human flourishing. So just briefly, this map or model says that I have a body, I have a mind and spirit, and that's all within this being. However, they're different energies within the body, mind, and spirit. And as we move from the central to the edge here, there's a movement in consciousness and a movement in energy from a very dense energy of the physical body to the ultimate magnanimous energy of spirit. And as a person evolves, and we know many people who become we don't know them, but we know of people who have become enlightened and have actually made that union spirit of their selves with the spirit of all that is. So does that make sense? Body, mind, and spirit. All good so far? Thumbs up? Okay. So in the model, as Elliott expresses it, we have a quadrant that is our biological health, this upper right. We have a quadrant that is psychospiritual well-being, that's over in the left upper quadrant. In lower left, we have interpersonal segment of the self, and in the lower right, we have the worldly aspect. So the elements over here on the left are the inner aspect of my being. And over here on the right, that's the outer aspect. That's what shows up in the world. That's the physical me going out in the world, involved in work, social activism, involved in generativity. And I'll give you some more explanation about those terms as we go through this. So essentially, I have a biological aspect of my being, psychospiritual aspect, interpersonal, and worldly. So what is integral health? Well, it's the expansion of health and healing processes that address the entire range of the human experience. The range of, as I've said before, biological, psychospiritual, interpersonal, and worldly. All aspects are seen to contribute to the disease process and to health and healing. So it's really, as we go through this, about the expansion of consciousness rather than a medical toolkit. Expansion of consciousness is the central approach. And the aim is whole person flourishing that can develop and sustain itself throughout the life cycle, irrespective of the presence or absence of disease. So even if I'm suffering from a chronic illness or a disease state, that I know I'm going to be moving into a transitioning time into death, I can still sustain the central aspect of feeling grounded, feeling a place of security within my being. Does that make sense? So some terms that Elliott uses in his work is about authentic happiness, that this following a map or a model such as this can lead to authentic happiness. And that's the happiness that arises from within. And it's robust and it's passionate and it's unaffected by the circumstances of daily life. So being in a place like that can certainly be grounding for us going through days like this. And also the term genuine wholeness. And that's the experience of having the interconnection with all of life, knowing that I'm connected with everything that is on this planet, whether it's all sentient beings and all aspects of life, from the creepy crawlies to the winged ones to the four-legged, the two-legged, connected. Feeling that genuine wholeness and connected and having a universal loving kindness and a lightness of being. And then human flourishing, when we reach that stage of really feeling that all the aspects of this model are developed in a way that there's balance in this circle. I can feel within myself, the human flourishing. And that's a profound and hearty, sustained health, a feeling of happiness, wholeness, and inner peace. So those are the central concepts of the integral model. And we'll be talking when I do a course on this, because this is just a peek in, when I do a 3 or 4 week course on the model and take people through how they can use this map for their own personal well-being and perhaps help others realize this information too. We'll go much deeper into these terms. So given where we are in these days of the virus and the challenges that we have, how can we look through the lens of this model to support our well-being? Well, I'm going to touch first on the biological aspect, because of course that's important, because it sustains health through nutrition, eating nutritious, wholesome meals, perhaps adapting a plant-based lifestyle, which has been proven to raise immunity and inflammation, choosing foods that support your immune system, staying well hydrated with water, and perhaps avoiding dehydrating liquids such as caffeinated beverages or alcoholic beverages. So nurturing the cells, the trillions of cells we have in our body, is an extremely important aspect of being in balance. And fitness and self-regulation, I'm going to come back to those. I'm going to move over here to the psychospiritual flourishing, because I think centrally in this time where we're being faced with this pandemic, it's so essential that we have this practice or habits, support to stay in balance emotionally and spiritually. So I'm just going to take you through these lines of development as pointed in the model, that in the psychospiritual realm, we have an emotional line of development, a cognitive line of development, and I'll explain that term to you in just a little bit, and a cognitive line of development. And the emotional line of development, some things that you could look at during these days is assessing your just general emotional state and asking questions such as, am I being reactive, or am I being responsive? Is my emotional state motivated by anger, by fear, by uncontrolled desires? Or am I more inclined to have swings between pleasure or happiness and then afflictive emotions on the other side? So I'm going back and forth, like 10 pounds heavy here, up here, down here. Is it like a yo-yo effect that's happening in my life? Or am I operating from a state of stable and expansive happiness? Asking those questions and just checking in to see what's going on right now, and if I'm feeling unbalanced or feeling in a reactive state, what are the tools, what's the information I know that can bring me back into a stable state? Cognitive, this is a term it took me a while to get my brain around, but has to do with the source and character of motivations, and asking myself, am I responding to this situation from a fearful stance, which is reactive, instinctual? So is it root chakra that I'm responding with to this situation? Or am I responding from a vision and values that I've established through my culture, my education, or through my religion? Is it a cultural response I'm having to this situation? Or am I responding from a place of wisdom, wholeness, the sense of oneness with the qualities of loving kindness and compassion? What is the source of my motivations as I go about my day? Cognitive, this also has to do with moving from reactive to conditioned to self-protective patterns. Cognitive, am I taking in information that's going to support me being in a peaceful state? Or am I listening to too many news programs and being taken off center by what I'm hearing on the news? Or if I get a call from a relative or seeing someone at distance that I know I can't be with right now, but I'm getting information from them that's feeding me and moving me into a place of anxiety. So how can I not move from reactive conditioned self-protective patterns? And how can I be more reasoning and seek a larger truth, meaning and purpose? And so seeking the truth in the situation around this virus is like delving into a deep well. I don't know about you, but just getting all sorts of information about how it started, how it's going to spread, who's going to get it, who isn't going to get it. And so being discerning about what I listen to and what I take in, so that my mind isn't influencing me in a way that takes me off center. So practices, so I'm just encouraging people to find reliable information and the best way to respond to the concerns of what's going on. And following the guidance of the expert sources is certainly the first step in developing and maintaining a response. And I feel the CDC has done an excellent job of putting out sound information. And I feel fortunate that in Garfield County, our public health officials put out an update every day and seem to be relying on good resources that seem reasonable given this dire situation. So to see in the psychospiritual realm, where are my resources that I can call on during this time? How do I maintain a place of presence? And I think one of the most important things to do is to take time several times through the day to say, how am I feeling? What am I saying to myself? What am I saying to other people? What's my tone of voice? What's my body language expressing? Is what am I expressing causing people to react, or are they able to respond to how I'm presenting myself? A way to come back into center if my assessment says I'm off kilter, I'm snapping at people or not paying attention to what they're hearing, what they're saying to me, is to come back to a practice of 10 deep breaths, just taking a pause and taking 10 slow, deep, breaths. And our bodies are inclined to, through that breath work, to bring us back to a place of center. It's just within our physiology that can happen. Another practice that can be very helpful is the practice of heart coherence from HeartMath Institute. And many of you may have heard of HeartMath and know the work that they're doing in heart-brain coherence. But a quick coherence technique is to just focus your attention to your heart. Just bring your focus to your heart center and take some breaths, focusing on your heart center. Imagining that you're breathing in and out from your heart center. Just slow, easy breaths that are moving in and out of your body, and it's from heart center. And as you're doing this, I suggest that you bring in a feeling of appreciation for something in your life, something that you truly appreciate. It makes you feel good inside. And just feel that appreciation as it spreads through your body from your heart center. So you can use this quick exercise, focus on the heart, breathe from the heart, and bring in heart feeling. And you can use that again as the break in the day to bring yourself into balance. So you'd be amazed how different your experience can be just doing these simple things, the 10 breaths or the quick coherence technique. Do you have any questions? All good so far? Okay. So I'll be posting some key notes from this talk on a webpage from the Davina Kemp website with some resources where people can go to get further information about these techniques. Oh, and another technique or tool that can be very helpful during this time is doing a practice of gratefulness. Journaling in the morning or in the evening or both. Just something you're grateful for this day. And that can build a mental, emotional muscle, definitely. Also, loving kindness meditation that can be practiced once a day is another emotional stabilizer. And after I talk about the interpersonal realm of well-being here, I'm going to lead you in a loving kindness meditation. So something to look forward to. So in the next quadrant here is the interpersonal realm. And personal meaning relationship with self. How am I feeling about myself? Am I treating myself well? Am I treating myself kindly? Am I making sure that I nurture my body with good food, exercise, and maintaining a positive relationship with myself, knowing that I can be a self-nurturer. And first and foremost, in days like this, I feel that's number one, taking care of myself so I can be available for others. If I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm worn at the edges, I'm not going to be supportive to anybody in my family, to anyone in my community who might call for help or call for assistance. Feeling in right relationship with myself. That's a lifelong, it's been for me a lifelong journey and still learning, but it's, I'm realizing how important it is at a time like this. Another line of development here is the family and relationship with family. And right now, my husband and I are at home, and our older daughter comes by because she's close by, and we consider her family. She's integral to us. And then we have family in Boulder that we check in with. And I found the most important thing is, am I stopping and really listening to what these family members have to say? Am I looking at them, having eye contact, seeing their body language, feeling the tone of their words, feeling into beyond what they're saying now, but is there something they would like to say? Am I really listening for that and receiving that from them? Am I receiving their concerns in a responsive way and not being reactive to it? And that's challenging because my husband has different ideas about how this virus started and what should be done about it. And I'm more approaching it from the holistic, we will get through this, and the trust from the trusting place. And so my daughters have always said that there was a cartoon one time, the Bubbles and the Prince of Darkness, and they felt that these are our personalities. Anyway, I'm really paying attention to listening to him and not putting him down for the relationship he's having with this situation. And that's an interesting process for sure. Another thing is, am I willing to allow my husband's response or my daughter's response to be theirs and not try to mitigate it or change it? And being a professional fixer, a caretaker, I always want to get in there and poke the edges and try to make it different for them, but that certainly can't work in a time like this. So to allow the response to be theirs and not try to change it, unless I'm really concerned about something about their well-being, from thought patterns they might have or things they might do from the information that they're receiving. So that's where some of the things I can ask and be aware of when relating to family members. And then community, my goodness, realizing what community means. It's taken on a whole different meaning with this situation. Used to think our little neighborhood in Carbondale was community, but it's so much more than that. It's the town of Carbondale. It's the valley of the Roaring Fork. It's the state of Colorado. It's the country of the US. It's all the countries who've been affected by this virus. It's the human community that's been affected. And so it's just brought the awareness to, we're all in this. We're all in it. And that's the larger community, the global community. But within my immediate community, am I listening to concerns of neighbors? Am I checking in with them? Am I hearing what their needs are? Where can I be most helpful and not buying into any fearful reaction or getting into disenfranchising behaviors. And most of all, am I aware that my actions, my personal behavior could affect the community. So making sure I'm keeping the 6-foot distance when I go out shopping, being respectful of people, and even though I want to run up and give them a big hug, not doing that right now. not sharing tissues, and trying to be as respectful as possible for people's personal space. Because I'm very aware that my choices, my personal choices, affect my family and my community members. The other thing that's very concerning, of course, is the people who are out of work and businesses who've been shut down because of this situation. So looking out into my community and saying, what are the businesses that are still functioning that I can support financially? We do have some restaurants who are doing takeout service. So my husband and I have agreed once a week we'll do a takeout meal from one of our favorite restaurants to help support those folks, and then make sure we give a big tip when they bring the food out to the curb, when we go to pick it up. It's the dire circumstances that are happening financially for people is just heartbreaking. And as I was talking to Ruth and Artis earlier, coming to 3rd Street today, there was a long line of cars coming for the Lift Up food pantry give out. And that really struck home. It was like a little stab in my heart, realizing what dire situation many families are in. So where can I be effectively supportive in the community? But most of all, knowing I have to come out into relationship with community from a place of centeredness, from a true compassionate stance, and do a lot of practicing of deep breaths as I do it. So that's the interpersonal line of development. Is I would see some things can be helpful for people to reflect on during this time. Any questions come up for you? Any comments? All good? Okay. Well, as I said, I would pause at this time before going back to look at the right side of the chart into the biological and worldly aspect, and just give you an opportunity to take a reflective time, and we'll go into a loving kindness meditation. How's that sound? So this meditation comes from a beautiful little well-worn book I got years ago from Dr. Joan Borisenko. Joan Borisenko was with Herbert Benson at Harvard in the Mind-Body Institute, and they were the ones that worked on realizing the relationship between mind and body, and that we could be in a fight or flight mode with in the unbalance of the autonomic nervous system, or we could be in a relaxation response. And Joan has become a very blessed teacher and written many books from her grounding in that work with Herbert Benson. So just sit back in your chair, get yourself into a comfortable space. Might want to have your feet on the floor if that Feels good to be grounded during this time. And just become aware of your breath. In breath and out breath. Not making any changes, just noticing. And you might want to gently let your eyes close. And just being aware of breath moving in and out. I invite you to imagine a great star of loving, living light above you. See the star of light above your head, maybe 8, 12, 16 inches above you. And from this star, feel streams of light washing over you. And invite this light to enter the top of your head and to wash down through your body like a river washes through the sand on its bottom. Just invite this light to carry away any fatigue, fear, disease, any negativity that might be within your being. And this may seem as a dark energy being washed down by this amazing light, and allow it to wash down out the bottoms of your feet. And imagine it's taken in by Mother Earth and it's turned to compost. And just allow the light to continue washing, noting any parts of your body where there's tension or pain. Allow the light to wash through. And now imagine the light is washing clean the boundaries of your heart. And it's revealing the inner light that is your true essence. And as the light washes the boundaries of your heart, let your heart light shine more and more brightly. And let it fill your cells and tissues. And then imagine it extending beyond your body, 3 feet above and below you and on all sides, until you feel you're sitting in an egg of healing, protective light. And I invite you to affirm for yourself that all positive thoughts and prayers from others will penetrate this egg of light and reach you. And any negative influences will bounce back off the egg, and a blessing will be returned to their sender. And I invite you to affirm that all your own positive thoughts will reach through to others, and all negative thoughts will bounce back off the inner shell of the egg, and a blessing of compassion will return to awaken your heart to love. And from this space that you've created, from this egg of loving light, I invite you to expand this circle of light And we're going to call in people to join you in this circle of light with these blessings. First of all, you're going to bless yourself as you sit in this egg of light. You can say this blessing to yourself. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May I be healed. May I be the source of healing for all beings. And from your place in this circle of divine light, invite your loved ones into it. Invite them, calling them by name. See them in as much detail as possible. And imagine this loving light shining down on them and washing through them, revealing that light within their own hearts. Then bless them with these words. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. Next, think of those people who you hold in judgment and to whom you're ready to extend forgiveness. It might just be one person you've had a difficult relationship and you're ready to let that go. Place that person or these people in the circle of light and see that light washing away all their negativity, just as you did for yourself and for your loved ones. And bless them with these words. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. Now I invite you to see our beautiful planet as it appears from outer space, that delicate jewel hanging in the starry vastness. And imagine the earth surrounded by light. Notice the green continents, the blue waters, the white polar caps. Include all the beings on the planet, the two-leggeds, four-leggeds, the fish that swim, the birds that fly, those that creep and crawl. Earth is a place of opposites, day and night, good and evil, up and down, male and female. Be spacious enough to hold it all as you offer these blessings. May there be peace on earth. May the hearts of all people be open to themselves and to each other. May all people awaken to the light of their own true nature. May all creation be blessed and be a blessing to all that is. May there be peace on earth. May there be peace on earth. Slowly bring your awareness back into the room where you're sitting. I see each of you in your virtual room, your space on the planet. Thank you for joining me today. So loving kindness is a Buddhist practice, but it's been adapted by many, many people over the years. How did that feel?
That was great. The earth part made me cry. It felt good.
Good.
Relax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any other comments right now? Okay, well, if not, I'll go explore the outer aspect here. Covered a bit about nutrition and fitness and self, but didn't talk about self-regulation. I know you wonderful folks are so amazing to take care of yourselves in these ways. I don't feel I have to go into depth about the fitness and nutrition, but I'll just say a little bit about the self-regulation. And through my lifetime, this was a very challenging thing for me to self-regulate, especially around the amount and what food I was eating. I feel so grateful that 4.5 years ago, Dr. Feinsinger, who we work with and support his work in plant-based whole food nutrition here, he packed my brain with enough information that made a switch flip, and I was able to adapt that lifestyle. And so I truly come into a place of comfort with self-regulation around that for myself. So I'm so grateful. But it's self-regulation has to do with choosing and establishing a food, exercise, and a rest-sleep balance that supports homeostasis. And homeostasis is that self-regulating process that supports all the biological systems in our body. And when we can maintain stability in those areas, then we have the conditions for optimal survival. We have conditions of cell health, emotional health, psychospiritual health. When homeostasis is achieved, life continues. And when homeostasis dissipates, then the body begins to dissipate too. And one of the main things I think that is challenging in this time is to keep immune systems functioning at the optimal level. And so when the physiological functioning is not working well, the immune system seems to be the first area that gets compromised. Would you agree with that? That's a possibility? So self-regulation, and especially when times are challenging, I find the best thing for me is not to have things in the cupboard that I might be attracted to go to. That's the best thing with self-regulation. Just don't have it there. And making a commitment to self to be out exercising every day, especially when the sun is out, soaking in the sun rays, and being so appreciative of the Colorado blue sky. But I know that the skies are clearing around the planet because of factories shutting down and air travel shutting down, and the planet herself is breathing better. I do feel that. So any questions or comments on the biological aspect? Okay, and then we'll go into the aspect that Elliott called worldly, and that has to do with work in the world, social activism, and generativity. And this is such a challenging time for people who have been told they're non-essential, they're not to go to work. And it's equally, if not more, a challenging time for those people who are called to work on the front lines, especially people in the healthcare sector. Any line from frontline ambulance, fire response people to those working in the ICUs with the thousands of folks who are on respirators. So work is challenging, not having work, having overstress in work. But where is my work in the world right now? And I found for myself, this was a place to really reflect on, is what I'm doing my passion? Is what I'm doing offering something to community, to the well-being of others? And I've decided, yes, I love what we're doing through Davina Kent Center for Human Flourishing, supporting people to live the healthiest, happiest lives possible. And so my self-assessment around my particular work, which isn't work, it's my life, is that yes, I will continue to do this as long as it's possible, or yeah, until whenever. That's where I'm at with it. But I feel so challenged for folks who don't have work right now. Our older daughter is out of work because her preschool was closed. And so she's being challenged with, and her other work with being nannies and helping other families is not available to her because of the distancing issue. So I'm certainly aware of her challenges and many more others who are in that position right now. With my professional background, though, I feel that there might be places I could step in to assist. Where could I go offer my volunteer time in the situation that we're in, where I could be most effective? And where can I be supportive to those people who are being challenged emotionally and financially? And where can I give to organizations who are helping those folks out during this time? And that kind of moves us into the social activism realm here. There are so many, I would say, social issues that have been, the scab's been ripped off them with this pandemic, and showing where need is being called for. And in our valley, I think especially of the Latino community, who are not always getting the information needed in Spanish. And there's the population of DACA students who are highly threatened during this time. And thank goodness the governor has reached out to them to say he wants any rules about deportation just off the table right now. So these folks who are contributing to our society can continue to do that. But to choose a cause or causes that can help bring a more social balance back into our society. What are those things that I might do that I can be socially active with that will help our community. Those are the kinds of things that to think of in this line of development. Then generativity has to do with giving back to others by putting forth my life experiences and being a teacher, just in my case, being a grandmother, showing my grandson a good way to get through this situation. And I guess that one of the main things is just being able to demonstrate a steady state of compassionate emotional response toward myself and toward others. Generativity, a way to give back to other generations and help them know that we'll come through this. And I was thinking of this in a particular situation that happened in my life. I grew up in Canada, and when the polio epidemic came through, we lived on a lake and were forbidden to go in the lake all summer. And I just couldn't stand that because I'm a fish in another life. And that was so difficult for me. And these feelings have come up for me, how I felt at that time when I see young folks who don't want to social distance. They want to be together. They want to be with their friends. And I just understand the angst that they're going through. And how can I be supportive if I talk to these young folks about understanding, I understand where they're coming from. How can I give them solace? So that's a quick trip through the integral health model, looking at it through the lens of our challenging times. I hope that's been helpful for you. And I want to ask you if you have any questions.
Wasn't an overdose.
I don't think I have questions, but I want to say this is really meaningful, so meaningful, and it makes so much sense to me. I mean, it really resonates in a big way. So I wanted to say thank you. And that last little bit, actually, if I may comment, that last little bit about the young people who are reluctant to physically distance, you know, I really appreciate your perspective, because I think there's a lot of bickering back and forth between people who are maybe either have different points of view, or like with younger people who do want to collect and they do that anyway. There's this kind of energy of condemnation, and I think it's really important to have that spirit of understanding, like we're in this together and we can't, and that shutting down is not going to help anyone. You know, so anyway, like we need to support each other as much as we can. I really feel that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So glad you were able to be here today. Elizabeth, any comments?
Yeah, well, I've just been following you around the wheel, and because today it's been 3 days in almost isolation, it's just been interesting to contemplate what I've done through these 3 weeks. My oldest son is 16, and I got a tween. My other son is 12, and my oldest son, he's been here in the house for all 21 days save 3, and it's really you know, I'm fortunate because I live in the country and like a house in solitude, so we can go out and at the same time, it's like we are on an island. So how do we stay together? How do we talk? How do we recognize each other's needs? And it's also me being a woman, him being a boy. That's just things I do not understand. The teenage boy thing. So it's just like accepting, you know, a teenager going through the testosterone phase. I know it's intense, and we have also we've done things so he can exercise, and there's also been times, and that's maybe not the most spiritual thing, but there's just been one time, like 3 days ago, where there was like there was some tension that we couldn't really figure out, and he was really intense in his talking, and I was like, do. And sometimes I also feel like we need an eruption. So we did that, and we had like a brief, and then it was like, our strategy is to be reactive, like, and that is also to me a part of being honest about something's going on in me right now, and I don't know what to do. And then we go our separate ways for 20 minutes and just, and then we come back and then we talk about it. Okay, we got to deal with this because we're on an island. So what's going on in you, and recognizing our differences. So it's really been interesting how to navigate this, because the teenagers really need their social, it's tricky for teenagers.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's like a pressure builds up, and if you take the top off the pressure cooker, let it steam out, and then take time, and then come back, that's a release, definitely.
Yeah, and to me, it's like not pretending like things is easy. They are not like, so the friction can also, that made us break through an even deeper understanding. So yeah.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for joining Artis and I this afternoon. And thank Artis again for coaching me in Zoom protocols. I really appreciate it. And if you would like, I will send you my notes. I can email them to you, so you have these questions that you can reflect on for yourself. And as I said, I'll put a page on the Devaney Kent site as with the background information and other resources that you can look at. And it'll be on the calendar, so you can, and it's not there yet, but you'll be able to click on it with this date, April 2nd, and then see the information. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Be well,
Thank you.
everyone.
You
Be
too.
safe.
Thank you, people.
And know you are loved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.